This session is being recorded and will be reproduced as a live stream on Facebook and potentially in other areas. Thank you everyone for joining us today for the Lunch and Learn. Really looking forward to an immersive experience, and we're welcoming Nick Braban from Tanda, who's come to us to share with us everything that's happening in the Tanda world. So I'm going to hand over to you, Nick. I think you have control to take over the presentation. You can run with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move questions. We encourage you to jump into the chat area, to have conversations in the chat area, and we will have open discussion and Q&A towards the end. Okay. Nick, handing over to you.
Thank you, Heather. Welcome, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here for the first Lunch and Learn that Heather's hosting in this iteration. Look, I'm from Tanda. A little bit about us. Tanda, short for time and attendance. So founded and headquartered in Brisbane some 9 years ago now, whilst the founders were at QUT together. So bit of images in the background there of them putting on the world's largest toga party. So they designed Tanda when they were running the guild bar there as a solution to getting rid of paper timesheets. We've now got 10,000 clients on the books, over 10,000, and almost 130,000 employees in our system, which is great for a little Brisbane startup in the short amount of time we've been here. So in terms of what people hire us for, what our job to be done is, they're the 6 sort of key things. For you guys as advisors and accountants and bookkeepers, I think the really important ones to make life easier for you and things that you might want to hire us for, so to speak, would be the integration, obviously, with Xero, which is incredibly strong, and the automation that flows from that. So our ability to, on our managed awards, when updates occur from Fair Work or things change, we can sync those changes through to Xero quite seamlessly. We can automate creation of new pay items so that pay slips are compliant and employees are paid compliantly. We automate changes to wage rates when when they have their birthdays, if they're junior employees. So it's really quite a seamless solution once everything's set up correctly. I think another key one is onboarding, which I'll touch on. So our electronic onboarding solution is excellent, syncs directly straight into Xero again, and I'll go through that in more detail later. But finally, forecasting and budgeting, I think I'll touch on a little too. Now, this isn't necessarily so much one that you'll use in a week-to-week basis in terms of running a payroll or whatever, but it's a really good conversation starter to be able to talk to your clients about how they're forecasting and how they're budgeting, and then how they're making real-time decisions as well, so that when you get to end of financial year time and P&L reporting season, or if you're doing that on a monthly or quarterly basis, so, you're not having a negative conversation. It can be a really positive conversation about how well things are looking rather than chasing those lagging indicators. So where we fit into the world in terms of industries we do really well in, these are sort of our key verticals here. Hospitality is where we were born, so we've got some really big clients, some really small clients. Healthcare and childcare are sort of our 2 big other growth areas at the moment, along with manufacturing and retail. Now we've got some great enterprise and franchise customers as well. So what this, we can really scale up and scale down. The engine that's been built behind Tanda to interpret awards and manage things like that works really well, pardon me, whether you're talking about 10 employees all the way up to 10,000 employees. What we don't do really well is one Heather sort of posed to me earlier is probably in areas where simple award or simple EBA calculations are in place. You don't need the full complexity of our compliance suite. And things are done relatively simply. There's better solutions out there that would save you money, but when compliance is key, you've got a workforce that is a mix of casualized people, part-time, full-timers, and salaries. We're a really good fit. Three ways that Tanda works: via the mobile app, our time clock app, and online, which you access to sort of administer Tanda. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on this today for you guys, in the sense that I want to focus on, the real positives that you can harness as an advisor, and this is what we'd sort of show to your clients as to how employees can access Tanda and manage what they need to manage via the mobile app, time clocks at the workplace to get the clocking in, clocking out happening, as well as it's a really good communication method, and then the reporting and rostering suite online. Now, these key benefits I sort of put together thinking about you guys. So these are sort of the four big ones that I see, and in a special focus on the compliance suite, the onboarding and the automation, as I mentioned earlier. So in terms of compliance, Tanda is, we've been managing modern awards for some time now, some of them all the way back to 2013-14 financial year. So what that means is we've got a long history of managing complicated award interpretation scenarios. And we've got an ability to look back in time and perform annualized salary reconciliations that are becoming part of more and more modern awards every year as the Fair Work Commission sort of inserts that requirement. So for those not across that, it effectively means if you've got salaried employees, you need to perform a reconciliation on them on the anniversary of their employment start date on an annual basis to make sure there's been no underpayments. And that means running an alternate payroll, comparing it to an award classification that they would fall under as a full-timer or part-timer, accruing penalties for things such as overtime, working weekends, allowances, etc., etc. So that makes life a bit more complicated in the white-collar space and in our key industries as well, where things such as hospitality. I think this will be inserted into the hospitality award relatively soon. So thinking about chefs and managers who work long hours, late nights, weekends. What does that look like for them when they're only on a salary of say 70 or 80 grand a year? Domino's, our biggest client, performs this on a quarterly basis and makes payments back to their employees if they detect underpayment. So there are many different ways to do it, but that's a really key compliance feature that I'll be talking about a lot this year. Employee onboarding, I'm sure you've all heard about this. It's things like this have been out in the market for some time now. Ours is a really neat solution. One of our customers claims a 96% efficiency increase from moving from paper. Look, I'll show you the slide later on. For me, I'd been a Tanda client for some time before starting work here. So I can talk to the fact, and I'm sure you'll agree, that the elimination of paper when you're employing new people is excellent. It means things don't get lost. It means transcription errors don't happen. We can sync all of that information directly into Xero so that payroll is seamless and there's no communication required between you if you're running payroll for a client and then when they've got new employees happening. Employees are just populated directly into the file ready for payroll. And also it allows us to document manage things really well so people can upload certificates, passport, visas, things like that, so you can maintain checks on right to work. It's really customizable and you can sort of, however you think you might want to send a document and get it uploaded or acknowledged, we can probably handle it. Automation. So automation is like where the guys invested a lot of their time in the early days building out Tanda. So I've touched on, automated awards and managed awards. But what does that mean for you as a, advisor using Xero? When you have a client that comes on board with Tanda and wants to use one of our managed awards, we can automatically spin up via API the pay items that are required in Xero to be entirely compliant with the award, so that if auditing were to ever happen, those pay items are created with the coding applicable to the award with perfect clarity, so that it's always very visible and clear why people are getting paid for what they've done and how. And it means that you don't have to self-manage that by connecting items with things back in Tanda or vice versa. It all just talks, it all just works, and it's all automated. So it's a really big time saver, especially as businesses start growing again and start bringing on new workforces. So we're thinking in places like, COVAX rollouts in the medical industry, where a lot of employees are going to have to scale up very quickly. So we can get them on the awards, spin up these pay items, get them onboarded paperless, and get them working and paid correctly without too much manual intervention. The final part, live insights and forecasts. I mentioned a bit earlier, the opportunity for conversations with your clients outside the day-to-day and week-to-week things that need to happen around payroll processes, accounts receivable, etc. So live insights, we can integrate with a lot of demand data systems, so point of sale in childcare and the medical industry. It's rate of clients flowing in and out, how many transactions are occurring. We can connect with this data, tabulate it on a live basis against the labor, so that decisions can be made in a real-time basis, to avoid spending too much money, but also used in a forecast way, so that when you know that you're busy, you can have the right amount of people on, so that customer service remains high. And that's really important in ultra compliant scenarios like medicine and childcare, where you definitely need to have the right amount of people working at the right time to be compliant with looking after people correctly. Pardon me. So moving on, guys, I'll just touch on each of those features a little bit more directly, and you can see sort of how our system works. So this is a picture of how a timesheet will look, and as you're hovering over each section of the timesheet, you can see how we've calculated what has to happen. So it's very clear to managers, owners, accountants, bookkeepers, what's going on, and very clear to the employee as well what's happening in terms of how they're being paid. Automation, as I mentioned, when Fair Work released their wage updates around end of financial years, and there was some not too long ago in early February, you'll just get a button in your Tanda account that you need to click, and that'll all flow through. And as I mentioned, that includes any new pay categories or allowances that need to be spun up in Xero. We will handle that for you if you're on the Managed Award template. Create those via API, so there's no manual intervention between the ledger and payroll back to time and attendance, to make sure things are talking to each other and you don't encounter those errors on a Monday or Tuesday morning when you really just want to get people paid and move on to other tasks. We're one of the few also that can age up employees' pay rates on their birthdays. So no manual intervention required there when someone turns 16 to 17, 17 to 18, etc. That will just flow through and happen automatically. We will handle everything, no manual intervention required. Wage compare, annualized salary reconciliations. This is a big issue at the moment. We're at the point in time, so it was only just over 12 months ago when this was inserted into 19 or 20 modern awards, and it's initially sort of heavily focused at white collar professions. So we're talking the legal profession, people on the clerks award, financial services, banking, etc. So we've been building this out for a while because it's going to come into a lot of the other modern awards as well. The requirement to look back every year on that employment anniversary date to make sure your salaried employees have been paid per what they would have earned under the award. We can do that really easily and really simply, as long as the timesheet data is nice and up to date. And we allow you to manage that really well. And you can create different wage comparisons too as people go up or down in level, promotions, changes to their arrangements, etc. Tabulates it really nicely and is quite intuitive and easy to use. Onboarding, as I said, you're probably all pretty aware of this and you've seen a lot of it. I know Heather's spent a lot of time talking about onboarding solutions. It really is such a massive time saver for both the business person, the managers at the businesses, and you as advisors to have this information just flow seamlessly through to through to payroll and ledger is quite a time saver. And it means, all that time loss distributing pieces of paper, transcription of it, errors that occur, it's all really avoidable. So we can electronically submit TFN decks. With some integration partners that we have, we can spin up new super accounts, avoiding paperwork there. And there are some super changes coming this year as well, which will make that even more attractive. You can also create custom questions and forms if you want to ask your staff certain things. Uploading of documents from their end, attachment of contracts so that they can acknowledge them, all in the one-stop shop of onboarding, which they can really do via mobile. As you can see in the picture, it's quite easy to do, and all you've got to do is send them an invite via phone number or email, and they can complete all that data entry for you, which is pretty exciting. This is just what onboarding looks like for you or business owners or managers as they're setting it up. So quite easy, quite intuitive, not too complicated, and nice cloud web-based application. Our TFN deck forms are smart forms, so they'll actually queue the applicant as to whether the information is sort of correct. So, historically the errors I'd always find and have to deal with on a payroll day or a couple of weeks later when people have, incorrectly chosen the tax-free threshold, for example, and you get a phone call from an employee asking why they were charged at such a high tax rate. Well, you ticked the wrong box on your tax deck. So that's what we have to do. This will cue people in when they make those selections by asking simple questions like, is this your only job? Is this your second job? Are you actually a foreign resident? Because that means you might not have working rights in Australia, things like that, so that errors are diminished and having to chase up things and make changes in payroll is eliminated. As I mentioned, look, 94% streamline onboarding time from care agency. Look, I'm not going to stand by that percentage. It's quite a high one, but as you know, guys, it's a really good little feature and makes life easy for you. Now, quickly on integrations, Heather sort of wanted us to talk to, what we work really well with in terms of a stack and what we integrate with really well. We've got heaps of integrations. We've got an open web API. It's pretty old. It's well documented. It's quite easy to use. I know a lot of you are fans of Zapier and Zaps. A lot of people have used those to do what they need to do via our API. Some of our key sort of stacks that I see a lot of, Lightspeed's going to be a growing one with them acquiring Vend in the retail space. Really easy integration to manage. The data flows seamlessly. We don't have to support it a lot. It just works. So that's an excellent one. In the health space, Cubico is another local startup from here in Brisbane. So they dashboard and link together data streams in the medical industry. So that's from your patient management softwares through to your labor management software like us and other data streams, and bring that all together and make life really easy for practice managers to sort of get things right in that space. Manufacturing and industrial, Work Guru, one of our best integrations, allows inventory tracking, time tracking, really helpful if you've got, complex jobs, workforces out on the road, warehousing, things like that, linking into Tanda for award interpretation, which is exciting. IntelliHR, other guys we work with in that HR and recruitment space, where more data is necessarily required than what we can handle in an onboard. Other things I see in stacks out there that we don't necessarily integrate with, but work really well together, and I see in the small business space, Fathom, I think a lot of you love, in terms of visualizing data and dashboarding. Power BI, the things I've seen a lot of our clients pull out of Tanda with Power BI is quite amazing. Lightyear, another one in the hospitality space for accounts receivable and accounts payable. But yeah, a smart stack where labor and award interpretation is required, we always fit well in that sort of space. So that's us and Xero and the ecosystem. What do we put through to Xero? I've touched on that a fair bit earlier, but look, that's the graphic that shows how the data flows work and what we actually sync across into payroll. Pricing, finally, just I know that's always generally a question. Look, that's our out-of-the-box pricing there. We have an onboarding only module for those of you that don't need, the complex rostering and award interpretation, and you just want to harness some efficiency on that end. So please get in touch with me if that's of interest. And we've got a great partners program where we work with our advisory network and can work things out. So I'd love to hear from you all. That's sort of the end of the me just talking. Love to take some questions now and hopefully answer them for you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nick, for sharing all of that insight with us. It was really interesting to go through it, and such a fabulous solution coming out of Brisbane. So you're all welcome to, you can either raise your hand. That might be an easier way to do it. We've got 50 people on board, including Tasmania. We managed to get Tasmania on board, but Michelle does have a question. She started off there. Would you like to take yourself off mute? But other people, raise your hand, take yourself off mute. Take your video off, join us, say hello, tell us what you're eating. And special points. Let me just say special points for all those lunch photos for the lunch and learn. I don't know if that was accidental or not, Nick, but well done. But I'll pass to Michelle. Thank you. Hi, Michelle.
Hi. With single touch payroll phase 2, we're going to be required to have even more items split out on the pay slip. So my question is, what goes through to 0 on the pay slip? Does it go through as one thing, or does it come out all split out? Can Tanda handle this yet, or is it something that's coming? Yeah,
so great question, Michelle. That's exactly what we do when we spin up those pay items automatically via the API. We break them out and list them out and code them as per the award, so that when it comes through, I guess I've encountered a lot of advisors and bookkeepers in the last couple of months who are like, I don't want my file cluttered up with all of these codes, and I don't want you doing that, but I heartily recommend let us handle it for you. It takes such a load off, and the only annoying part is then you having to link that to the to the ATO codes or however that looks.
They're not going to have a choice coming soon. They're not going to have a choice anyway. So January, 2022, might as well start now.
And that's it. You don't have to think about it. We'll just handle it for you.
Thank you so much for your question, Michelle. Does anyone else have any questions for what Nick covered there, or anything about payroll? No more questions. That's okay. But
Amar's there, I think, in chat. What is
he? Oh no, maybe he's sending you private questions.
Oh no, he's talking about what he was on the phone. And yeah, got it.
I think it's
another.
Go on, Michelle. I know you can probably fill out the next 30 minutes. We will send you the Tanda Panda suit if you can.
So for my guys, especially because I work especially with trades, as you know, but for the guys that you don't connect to the awards, how does Tanda sit if it doesn't connect to the awards? I mean, can we override things? Does it just come as a, we put in the data? Love to see how that works.
Yeah, okay. What I could do, Heather, if you don't mind, I could jump into product really quickly and just show you like the rule builder. Because that's what you can do when you need to sorry, pardon me, build out things that things that we don't support in the managed space. So give me a second here, and I'll just quickly log in. You guys can see that?
Yeah, we got your password there.
Oh, great. Now zero wants me to do 2-factor. It's never easy.
If you tick that little remember this device for 30 days.
I'm using someone else's laptop. We've got these HP Chromebooks as I do this, and they've started dying on us. They're quite nice, but yeah, they're not. They don't last long. So I handed mine to someone else, and I'm borrowing someone else's. Look, I'll drop into this demo account I've got. Hip Hopped. It's my brother's name for a bar that he wants to open one day. If you're into hip hop and craft beer, that's that's his. Now, if I go into compliance here, you can see where we've got our awards templates set up and some integration info. But here's where we can customize things and build out award rules. So if I go to manage custom award rules, I can just create a new one. And if you're good at reading awards and you know how to understand those things and you feel confident in building rules, I really want to hear from you, because they're the types of people I'd like to refer a lot of work back to. As Michelle touched on, there's awards that we don't yet manage, and I'm fighting for those ones for you, Michelle. I guarantee you that, because I think there's a lot of opportunity there. But this is where we could, build an OT rule 1.5 or whatever it might be. You can apply it to different types of hours. These are all the conditions that we know can generally happen in award rules as we're building them. This is effectively the UI of our award interpretation machine surfaced to you. So there's heaps of ways to skin it, depending on, what's happening, what are the rates paid at, and then we can link to it. So this will just pick up if we were synced to a Xero file, we would be able to pick up the export names as a drop-down box to make linking to the pay item in Xero really easy when you're doing these custom setups. So that's a quick tour of the award rule builder for you all. I'll just throw back.
That's exciting.
Oh, I think you're on mute there, Heather.
Sorry, you have had a question from Kim. Can you go through the onboarding features?
Yeah. So if you want to throw up a feature that in particular, but what I might do, I'll do a quick, I'll show you what it looks like in product again, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Just open that.
That's what we're here for.
Quickly. Yeah.
I can't believe you got a photo of a moose behind you. Shouldn't it be a panda?
That's just the Chrome box. Now I've lost my screen. There we are. All right. So this is just a demo version. So it's not going to show everything that happens, but this is kind of the flow that people go through: name, email. Yep, that's me. And you'll see each of the sections that are sort of default straight out of the box. So put in my personal details there, address, etc., etc. Where it gets interesting, the tax deck, as I mentioned. So, what we can start doing. See, if I put the wrong numbers in, it'll tell me it's invalid. I'm going to be casual. I haven't changed my name. Look, if I put foreign resident here, be careful, don't do that. Okay, that looks better. Tax-free threshold, no. Is it my only payer? Yes. So they're sort of the smart ways we can collect that data and send straight to ATO, which is cool. Forms to review. This is where you can upload policies, procedures, etc., that you want people to look at and acknowledge. What you can also do for each employee is attach, letters of offer, contracts, position descriptions, things like that, and that'll show us another option here. And then we can add some additional categories as well to collect qualifications if you'd want. So, in hospitality, responsible service of alcohol certificates, COVID training certificates across all industries, bits and pieces like that. And they'll just surface in here when we set them up in product. Extra questions, you can ask interesting things like, whatever, t-shirt size for if you need to give them uniforms, do you have a driver's license, etc. So it's pretty customizable, but that's what it looks like to an employee.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Now, cool. Tony, you had a question. Do you want to come off mute and ask that question?
I did, because I think this relates to that lead I had for you the other day. Specifically, we're looking at, can we use a single Tanda account to multiple Xero entities where you've got a group of companies that would like to manage their rostering and timesheets through one Tanda platform, but they've got 5 legal entities that they report into? Yep,
so that's relatively new. We can do that now. We were able to do it in MyOb first. Don't ask me why, it was easier there, but multi-payroll entities is now a thing in Xero, which is exciting, straight out of the one account.
Awesome.
Excellent. Now, Joy Moore, you have your hand up. I'm not sure where you are and whether you want to ask a question.
Oh, I'm in Queensland.
Oh, I just can't see you. You're not on my screen. Maybe I'm not. But
no,
join
sorry,
us.
I didn't turn my camera. There it is.
There.
Hi.
Hello, Joy.
Hi. Two questions, actually. The first one was around the customising the awards. Can you customise the built-in awards as well? Can you add in some minor changes to them, like if, say, overtime doesn't kick in until after 8 hours or things like that? Can you do that?
Yeah, you can. So some of the common changes that you touched on right then is around overtime, like people put in time off in lieu rules or days off in lieu rules and things like that. So you can do that. Just when you do make those manual changes, understand when there's updates, we can't sort of push those through. So you sort of have to manage those yourself. But yeah, so you definitely can.
And my second question is, if, say, a client wants to move from one rostering system to your rostering system, how easy is it? Can they just export and import?
In terms of the employees or the timesheet data?
Well, probably just more the employees and the data rather than having to start from scratch, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll pull the employees out of Xero in that respect. So if there is Xero base, if not, we can do a CSV export and match columns up and get data in. That's not too difficult. Yeah, but we sort of handle all that in implementation with new clients. So we don't have implementation fees. We just put people through an implementation, get them to their first payroll, and get them set up as best we can.
Excellent, thanks.
Cool.
Thank you for your question, Joy. Now, can I pass to Nicole Lynch? Nicole, what day of the week is it, and what is your question?
Today is Cuddly Kittens Day. I don't know that kittens necessarily want cuddling. They're a bit back off, sister, but you know. But my question is kind of sensible. In that onboarding, you were showing different documents you can attach. Can you attach the NES, or would you attach the NES in there?
Yeah, so we send that in the email that the employee receives when invited to onboard. So attach the NES and Fair Work statements there. And I think I saw one about super as well. Yeah, the super part isn't surfaced in that demo, just because of security tokens and such, I'm told. But yeah, so we've got an integration partner in Super with QSuper where we can spin up accounts automatically, but you can put your default fund there, or you can select your own fund, and that'll self-populate the USI numbers and things as well as they type in those that info as a name or a USI, which is kind of cool as well.
Excellent, thank you.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you, Nicole. And Kay, would you like to ask your question?
Sure. I was just curious if an employee changed from casual to full-time, how would that be handled?
Yeah, it's really simple. I'll quickly share again, Heather, and show you guys if you like. It's the employee profile is quite simple to use. Let me just find that share deck. Yep. Jump back into product here. So if I just go into workforce here, and this is, this will flow those rate changes, pay item changes, everything straight through to Xero if you're on those managed award templates. So you can see Abigail here is on the hospitality award. She's a casual at level 2. If I want to make a change, I'll just put her on to full time. She's doing really well and doing lots of hours. We're going to upgrade her and update. Outside of any paperwork I'd want to collect around that in terms of letters and offers and stuff from a payroll perspective, that's all been reflected. Look, she's age 17, so the rates here are quite low, but look, I can quickly show you if we change her birthday to a bit older, you'll see the pay rates update very quickly in the payroll tab. And again, that will just flow straight through to payroll in Xero, which is cool. So that it's quite easy to manage your employees. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Did that answer everything for you, Kay?
Yeah.
Excellent. And after Kay, we had, I think it's Michelle. Is that Michelle? You've asked another question there?
Of course I have.
Yeah, I think you've got like 3 questions lined up.
I know. With Tony's question, is that particular to groups of companies, or like as a bookkeeper, could I have a Tanda account with multiple entities?
Yeah, so what I set you guys up with, we call a partner account. So you get a dashboard showing all of your all of the accounts you're attached to as a partner, so you can go into those and administer and run payroll and such. Yeah, and they're off that they're free. So hit me up if you need a partner account. I'll get it set up for you, and you can use it on your own stuff as well if you want. But I'm a big believer, if you use it, if you think your clients would benefit from it, you probably might as well, especially with this salaried stuff coming in. So yeah, happy to roll that out for everyone.
You have another question there, Michelle? No? Okay, let's see. You had a question around Tony's question, didn't you?
Yeah, that's the one I just asked.
Okay,
and Nicole,
sorry.
That's my other one.
And Kim is asking whether this is recorded, and yes, it is live streamed. So I'm going to say that it is live streamed and is recorded as well, and it'll be trimmed nicely and put up on a YouTube channel. But it is on Facebook. But are there any other questions while we have Nick here? Excellent.
And I'll just throw my email up in the chat, guys. So if you want to get set up, just let me know, and we can get you going, and I can show you what you need to know.
Excellent. So Nick's thrown his contact details up there. So thank you so very much, Nick, for joining us today in our inaugural Lunch and Learn session.
Thanks for having me, guys, and thanks for welcoming me into your community. I'm still new to it, and you know, please sing out if you need anything or if you have any tips or pointers for me.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'll let you all go. Hope you enjoy the rest of your lunch and have some lunch, and see you back here on Thursday.